The following information and opinions expressed on the Sweet Divorce podcast do not constitute, nor are intended to be taken as legal advice. All content is generalized and for informational purposes only. Please contact our legal team or your own attorney for advice specific to your particular case. Thank you.
It's Sweet Divorce.
Hello, I am Rosario Burgos Santoyo of Burgos Santoyo Smith, and this is my partner,
Gretel Smith.
Today we're going to be talking about back to school.
So it's back to school. Our kids are all getting ready.
It's so exciting. I actually
is.
do love this time of year, but there are special considerations that you should be thinking about if you have custody and visitation orders in place.
Right. Like some of those things are what? What are some of the things that we need to consider, do you think?
Well, an example of this is who is going to drop off and pick up. So normally, if it was just one family unit that was going to be dropping off and picking up, then you don't need to worry necessarily about who's going to pick up. But if you're co-parenting with another person, then you have to find out who's responsible for dropping off, who's responsible for picking up, whether or not there's going to be any after-school care involved, or if there's a third party that's going to be responsible for picking up. So right now is a good time to look at your custody and visitation order to see whether or not that's specified, and also to co-parent and find out if there's anything that you can discuss with the other parent to get those types of decisions taken care of ahead of time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's really important if you can have a conversation with your other parent to talk about, coordinating these drop off and pickups. It makes things a lot smoother. Another thing that you might want to look at, in addition to your, just the transportation order, is actually who has your child on what days, because a lot of times we have a different summer schedule than we do a school schedule. So sometimes we're on a summer schedule where it might be a week on, week off schedule.
Yes.
And now during the school year, we have a different schedule. So you want to make sure that you both are on the same page of what is that schedule. Prepare your child so they know, like, hey, on this day I'm going to be here and the next day I'll be there.
Yes. And also, I think you mentioned after school care, and I think I may have mentioned
absolutely.
it as well, because if they go to the same after school care every day, no matter who's picking up, then we also need to make sure that both parents are listed as pickup people, so that there aren't any issues after school for pickup time, and also to give that information to the other parent so that both people are aware of where your child will be going, who is going to be the primary person responsible for them after school, as well as the pickup procedures, and also the ability to pick up, because a lot of times you have to be on a certain list. They have to have certain emergency phone numbers. So that type of thing needs to be updated and communicated to the other parent as well.
I think that also leads to the other issue of, we are re-enrolling our children for the school year.
Yes.
A lot of times one parent might take the lead on that, but remember, you do have another parent. And especially if that other parent has legal custody, you want to make sure that both parents are listed as parents of your child on your school enrollment. You don't want to leave the other parent off. You also might want to talk, I think it's important to talk to your school administrator and your child's teacher, to make sure that both parents are getting the emails, because that can be a big issue where maybe one parent's getting an email, but they don't share it always with you. So you want to make sure that, you both are on that email list to get the information, or whatever apps you need to download. You have those and you've downloaded them, and you're just as prepared as the other parent. So you know what's going on.
Yes, and that's a good point also, because more and more often schools are communicating via email as opposed to actual documents that are going home with the kids. And so it's important to know that they have the proper way to communicate with all parties who are involved, with everyone who needs this type of information. And this goes everywhere from back to school schedules and the first day of school procedures and supplies lists, to days off, to open house, all of those things are communicated via email. So it's so important to know that you'll be getting this crucial information. And also, if you receive it and you don't know that the other parent did, it's important to share that information too, because it doesn't just affect you and your parenting, it also affects your child. And you want your child to feel confident and comfortable knowing that mom and dad and any other parent involved is going to know what's going on and how to fully support them.
Absolutely. I think that also leads to, with regards to just looking at the school schedule, the school calendar. Every school has a website, or just about every school, and they post their school calendars, usually 2 or 3 years in advance.
Yes.
And it's really important to just, either print it out or just look at a copy of that and mark on your calendar those 3-day weekends, those in-service days. Prepare for that in advance now, so that if an in-service day happens to fall on one of your parenting days, you're prepared to take that day off of school, or that you're arranging childcare for your child, or talking to the other parent to make sure that they're able to take out to parent for that day. It's really important to plan ahead. And I think one of the things that can create a lot of strife is when we are looking at things last minute and saying, oh my gosh, I didn't know we had the day off the day. Or, oh, when's the minimum day? The minimum day is every Wednesday. I have to work late every Wednesday. So trying to plan ahead of time to make that smooth transition, again, for your child, it can be really helpful, and also prevent arguments in the future.
And while you're looking at that school calendar, it's also important to note those 3-day weekends, because sometimes that affects the pickup time for the other parent. So look at your orders. Does it say that it's going to extend your weekend another 24 hours, or are you going to treat that third day as if it's a non-school day to where pickup is affected? So make sure you look to that. And if you need something modified, or if you need a discussion, then have that discussion before it's, like Gretel mentioned, last minute, and you're rushing in saying, oh no, they don't have school tomorrow. When are you going to pick up? Can you come in and help me with that? It's better to have more time, because if neither of you is available, then you can reach out to somebody else that's a trusted adult that can help, so that your child knows, well, so that you know who's going to be taking care of your child.
Yes, absolutely. And that both parties know in advance.
Yes. So another good question that probably comes around right now is, who is responsible for paying for school supplies?
Right. And that's an issue, right? Is it that you should both be splitting it? And I think one of the ways to start is look at your child support orders. Look at your custody orders, and your support orders might say specifically that, both parties are equally divided, or both households need to provide their own supplies.
Yes.
The other part of that is back to school clothing, backpacks, lunch boxes. We've got water bottles, all the things that our kids bring with them every day, not just their school supplies necessarily, but their
Textbooks,
accoutrements,
agendas, yearbooks,
right?
All those things are coming up right now. And so, at the end of the day, if you have any questions, just make sure that you save receipts for the things that you've paid for, and then that can be dealt with in the future. The most important thing is to make sure that your child has everything that he or she needs in order to have a successful school year. So if there is any question as to who's responsible for whatever portion of the supplies that you're purchasing, like I said, save your receipts, make sure your child is fully accommodated for, and then have an amicable discussion with the other parent if possible. If not, then you can go back and revise the court order to find out who needs to be responsible for these things.
Right. And sometimes it is that one household is paying for this stuff that's used in their household, the other household is not. But as Rosario just said, this is about your child. This is not about what you have between the other parent and yourself. And you don't want your child starting school feeling that mommy and daddy are fighting because I need a new backpack.
Right.
Or mommy, like whoever, your parents are fighting because they need a new backpack. It's about making sure your child is fully equipped and ready to start school in a peaceful environment and without seeing those arguments.
Yes. So really, the bottom line is, the more organized and prepared you are for this school year, the better it is for you, your family, and your child.
Yeah.
Tune in next time for Sweet Divorce Podcast with Rosario and Gretel.
Yay, life's sweeter after divorce. Let us help you get there.
We'll help pick up the pieces one by one. Information